right, folks, and we are back. I think I just realized when I played that Zelensky clip, I think I had the volume turned down again, like a dickhead. So I'm going to have to fix it in post. Sorry about that, guys. Like I said, I'm going to get this streaming stuff down perfectly. I promise you. But in the meantime, you have to deal with my dumb assery. You know, you have fuckery the words I use. You have fuckery, you have dumbassery. You have dickery. I just add ERY to every swear word because I think it sounds funny. But now we're going to get into this gray zone clip that I'm finding that I found very interesting. Max Blumenthal did very good on the ground journalism with this video, and it's basically him, you know, talking to a couple of our elected officials about, you know, the Ukraine situation. But before we do that, because in tandem with that, I want to show you how the GOP, you know, they're all aligned when it comes to the warmongering. They're all in agreement, and we're going to get to this, and I'm going to I'm pulling this video up that on Twitter right now, just to have it set up, because I found it amazing. It's very stunning how in agreement they are when it comes to warmongering. This is the same type of thing you saw with Venezuela too. I might play that clip too, honestly, because I thought it was fascinating to see. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this gray zone video now. All right, so like I said, this is Max Blumenthal doing on the ground, you know, reporting, talking directly to our elected officials. So let's see what these fuckfaces have to say. I like this intro. This intro is fire. It's simple but so fire at the same time. I want to make something like this for American. On
March 8th, as the Russian military operation inside Ukraine expanded, President Joseph Biden announced a total ban on Russian oil to the United States, sending oil prices to record highs.
Today, I'm announcing the United States is targeting the main artery of Russia's economy. We're banning all imports of Russian oil and gas.
So this is in relation to the Russian ban that the government just did. And of course, as usual, you know, like, you have videos of people like Colbert. I may do a compilation of all these like dipshit celebrities and politicians and shit saying, oh, we need to make sacrifices for the democracy of Ukraine. Ooh. I may make a compilation about that and post it on the channel and like on my Instagram and all that and TikTok. I haven't posted anything on TikTok, on the Topsy TikTok, in a while. But this video is also addressing that as well. You know, they want us to suffer. The working class people, as always, they want us to suffer with high prices and inflation when it comes to this stuff so we can support, you know, fucking Nazis in Ukraine and all this bullshit. So, and we also just suffered by sending them, I think, like in that GOP video that I'm about to play, Mitch McConnell was talking about sending them like 14 billion fucking billion. I'll say that again, 14 billion. I wanted to make a dramatic point. $14 billion. That is nuts. So that's what that's in reference to as well. So let's go ahead and keep going with it. I'm surprised Joe Biden's actually like doing good during this speech. Hey, my name is Joe Biden. We're gonna do a ban on Russian dildos. I mean, what are we doing a ban on again?
Gas and energy. That means Russian oil will no longer be acceptable at U.S. ports, and the American people will deal another powerful blow to Putin's war machine.
Following Biden's announcement, his allies in the media spread the message that higher gas and food prices and rising inflation was a price that Americans simply had to pay to put the hurt on Putin.
Ultimately, if the price...
So this is Larry Summers, somebody who was directly responsible for the economic what some economists have described as economic genocide in Russia, along with Jeffrey Sachs and other economists that started funneling into Russia, crafting its libertarian-esque economic policies post-Soviet Union. These are all Larry Summers, the same guy who recommended, deregulating Wall Street, which then, not too long after, a couple of years later, crashed the whole fucking economy in the 2008 crash we saw. This is this guy telling Americans they need to deal with it. Also, Americans don't need we don't need rescue checks. Of course, bail out the banks, but the American people, fuck them. They don't need checks. That guy too.
Combating tyranny is a period of much higher gas prices. That's a price we need to be prepared to pay.
And note, he won't be paying that price. Larry Summers will be paying that price. He's a multimillionaire.
Today,
he probably gets to work from home too. He's not going to pay that
average gas price in America hit an all-time record high of over $4 per gallon. Okay, that stings, but a clean conscience is worth $1 or $2. I'm willing to pay.
Bro.
It's important.
Bro. And then immediately after that, he goes on to say, I won't have to pay because I drive an electric car, da-da-da. Like, Colbert has literally become a parody on, not knowing it, though. So he used to do a parody of a conservative. He's literally a parody of a shitlib now, but he actually means it. Like, if you were to show this video to somebody and they didn't have context of, the history of Colbert and, his whole shtick, him doing a parody of conservatives, and now he's just a run-of-the-mill shitlib, they would think that he's doing a new parody of a neoliberal, but it's not. This is actually Colbert now. He's literally a living, it's like, this is why you can't, parody films, what was epic movies, the scary movies, they wouldn't work no more because we literally live in a joke. Literally, life is a daily joke, literally, so.
On Capitol Hill, where Congress was set to vote on a gigantic emergency package of arms to Ukraine and NATO, I questioned lawmakers on the economic price to working-class Americans of a major military escalation.
I think that he did well in banning Russian oil. I think there would be
So this is Representative Maria Elvira Salazar. I don't know what her politics are. I would assume, given that she's in Florida, she will probably be conservative, but I don't know. But regardless, what she's saying is fucking insane. So again, let's run that back. Let's run back what she just said.
Congress was set to vote on a gigantic emergency package of arms to Ukraine and NATO. I questioned lawmakers on the economic price to working-class Americans of a major military escalation.
I think that he did well in banning Russian oil. I think they would be nefarious and pernicious and really bad for the Venezuelan people and its future as a free country to start dealing with Maduro.
So she's talking about Maduro. I'm probably going to talk about that on Friday, honestly, because I don't necessarily have a story set up for that. So I'm probably going to talk about that Sunday so I could get some clippings together and things like that. But now that Russia is banning Russian oil, or that the United States is banning Russian oil, they're crawling back to Venezuela to basically make deals to get oil from them after we decimated their fucking country via sanctions and blockades and shit like that.
Even to buy shoes from him, purses, whatever this has nothing to do with oil. It has to do with engaging with another dictator.
Yeah, and
human rights is across the board.
And do you support a no-fly zone in Ukraine?
I support everything that has to do with punishing Vladimir Putin and helping the Ukrainians.
So look how Max Blumenthal catches her with that logic.
Wouldn't that mean direct conventional warfare with Russia?
I don't know what it will mean, but freedom.
This is your elected officials, and let me look this shit up because I want to know this. What is her name? Representative. Hold up, I'm about to Google it now. Let me see if this is her. Yes, this is her. This is her. She's a fucking Republican. This is a fucking Republican saying this shit. Bro, this is Looney Tune shit. This is Looney Tune shit. I don't know what that means, bitch. That means World War III and Armageddon, the end of the world. I don't know. This is your elected officials. I'm gonna start looking at the scene what DeSantis and all them is saying, because like I know DeSantis is like, look, I've agreed with DeSantis on a lot of his COVID policies and shit like that, but he's been, like I said, like that's probably the only thing I agree with DeSantis on. Other than that, he's fucking horrible, especially when it comes to foreign policy. But if it's anything like this, are you going to see me clowning the fuck out of him on this channel? Because that is nuts. And I figured this is the consensus of like, you know, Congress people from Florida, because I know like you just saw Marco Rubio earlier pushing fucking NATO propaganda about us developing biological weapons in Ukraine and having bioweapons labs in Ukraine. But man, this is nuts. She doesn't even know what it is, but she's for it. Again, they will shit on Biden on everything else except when it comes to war. They gladly hold hands with him. They would, if Biden promised tomorrow to ride a fucking nuclear bomb into Moscow between his fucking legs with a cowboy hat on and all this shit, they would probably let Joe Biden sniff all of their hair if he promised to do that. I'm being honest, completely honest with you. So this is insanity. Doesn't even know what it is, and she's all for it.
Freedom is not free.
So you don't know what a no-fly zone will mean. If you have to shoot down Russian planes, I mean.
Of course.
So
shoot them fucking down. Shoot them down. Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is nuts, bro. This is nuts. If AOC wants to win favor with the GOP, all she has to do is scream louder about war with Ukraine. She could probably run she could probably run on the GOP ticket in 2024 if she starts pushing this war in Ukraine and shit. She already shits on, you know, Cuba and Venezuela and all these other countries, like, and she shits on Russia too with Ukraine. But if she was to come out like this chick, dog, the GOP would love her.
conventional war with Russia.
Listen, thank you.
Hi, Max Blumenthal.
She just realized she got caught saying some dumb shit, bro.
Gray Zone. I was just wondering what you thought of the.
And here we have our favorite used car salesman, Rokana. Look at that dog. He looks like he's about to sell you a fucking beat ass Volkswagen, bro. Bro, oh my God. Oh my God, dog. He looks like he does your taxes. This guy, I don't get how people call this guy a progressive, bro. He has stocks in all of these weapons manufacturing companies. Like him and his wife makes a assload of money off of the stock market. And people pretend like that has nothing to do with his position in Congress. You know, they like, you'll hear like Majority Report, TYT, all these people shit on Nancy Pelosi and Dan Crenshaw and all these other fucking vultures for having stocks while in Congress and clearly using their position, you know, to make money off of it. Just like Kelly, what was her name? Kelly Loeffler and the other guy, the Purdue guy, the two people that lost in Georgia. They mostly lost because of that. Brocada does the same shit, and we still consider him a fucking progressive. Jesus Christ. But listen to this fuckery that he's about to say, dude. Please listen to this fuckery he's about to say.
The Russian oil ban.
I support the ban on oil.
So do you think that working class Americans should pay more to escalate the cost against Russia?
No, I think we need to ban the oil from Russia, and we need to reduce gas prices in this country. And how are
we going to do that? How are we going to do that, bro? We can't even get you to vote to withhold your vote from Nancy Pelosi for forced to vote, and you're talking about taking on the fucking fossil fuel cartels. How are we going to do that, Mr. Rokana? You fucking used car salesman, sir. How do you plan on doing that?
We reduce gas prices is to say to the big oil companies, you can't be making billions of profits while gouging people at the pump.
I mean, prices are already going up massively because of the sanctions, inflation's going up, and that's all to fight Russia. I mean, that's the message Biden and his people are sending. Don't you think? I mean, do you think Americans? What skin in the game do Americans have for Ukraine?
Americans have the skin in the game to stand up for freedom, to stand up for human rights. We've always done that as a nation, and we want to make sure that we stand up for.
We've always done that for people, you know, like how we brought slavery to the continent of Africa, how we destroyed Syria. We have people starving there, how we destroyed Venezuela, how we destroyed Iraq, Afghanistan. You can go down the fucking list. You know, anywhere the United States has brought freedom and democracy has ended in fucking ruin for that country, including Russia, which is crazy, which is the ironic part of all of this. Ugh, excuse me, guys. Sorry. Had to sneeze real bad there. But we even did it in Russia, which gave way to the rise of Vladimir Putin. So if you're one of these like shit libs or neocons that fucking like, you know, think Vladimir Putin is like the third head of the Hydra of the axis of evil, you know, Xi Jinping is on one head, Putin's on the other, and pick, you know, whoever else is on the, you know, the third head, whatever. But like this is the like you created this guy, bro. Oh my God, this is insanity. This is insanity.
For Europe and NATO, and we stand up to bullies. I mean, people see on television Putin killing children, killing mothers. I mean, it's horrific. And we as an American.
So where was this commentary when the Ukrainian government was killing thousands of people? They killed 14,000 people over 8 years. You never heard this commentary. You never saw people like, you know, posting flags in their bios, you know, and solidarity with the Donbass peoples. You know, you never saw this for those people, but you see it for the Ukrainians. Isn't that weird? It's weird how that happens, right?
Okay, we are the greatest nation in the world. We've always stood up for freedom. We stand up for human rights.
So raising inflation and raising oil prices for freedom.
I don't think that's connected. I think the reason that people are paying $5 at the pump and $6 at the pump is because these big oil companies are profiting.
So he starts off by saying that, you know, our skin in the game is protecting freedom and democracy. But then when Max Blumenthal debunks that, he then contradicts himself by saying those things aren't connected. Nigga, you made that connection. I'm just pointing out where that sounds stupid. You know, Max Blumenthal was pointing out where that sounded stupid and dumb. So Max did a good job on catching this guy. Dude, it goes on. There's more. It goes on.
Putting billions of dollars. Why is it that they're putting the billions of dollars because the price of oil is going up? Why do they put that in with their stockholders with stock buybacks?
Including him and his wife. Him and his wife have stocks in these companies. So he's talking about himself.
Make sure that they are being taxed if they're fleecing the American public and lower the gas prices. That's what we need to do.
Right, and you kind of ran on an anti-war peace platform. You're part of the Progressive Caucus. Do you support all the foreign fighters and weapons being sent into Ukraine, sending them aircraft, Stinger missiles, calling for an insurgency?
I was opposed to the war in Iraq because that was an unjust war. I had supported the strike in Afghanistan because those were terrorists, and I was opposed then to the long years in Afghanistan. But I think that this is a just war that the Ukrainians.
So shipping more weapons and escalate.
Well, we're making sure that they are armed to be able to fight that, and the Congress is going to pass $10 billion, and I support.
$10 billion. So no, peep that, right? You heard that, right? $10 billion. And you see how he sounds like a fucking neocon. Tell me the difference between progressive Ro Khanna and conservative GOP leader Mitch McConnell. Please tell me how they sound different right now. Peep this.
Well, let me start by saying if I were the majority leader, we'd be on the Ukraine supplemental right now. It's been challenging to get our Democratic colleagues to do what I believe the Ukrainians need at this particular point. But where we've ended up is at $14 billion.
14.
In order to get to 14.
So Ro Khanna said 10. Mitch McConnell saying 14. So the GOP wants to up that. But peep how he describes it.
Challenging to get our Democratic colleagues to do what I believe the Ukrainians need at this particular point.
They need this. So tell me, how does Ro Khanna sound any different than Frogface here? How does he sound any different than Mitch McConnell? He sounds like a neocon, right? That's because Ro Khanna is a neocon.
But where we've ended up is at $14 billion. In order to get to $14 billion, we actually had to prevent House Democrats from blocking loan guarantees to help Eastern NATO allies buy American aircraft with their own money, which shouldn't have been a problem. The House Democrats tried to cut the administration's request for security assistance by $300 million. In other words, it's been like pulling teeth.
So what he's saying is we're mad right now because the Democrats apparently want to do 10 billion and we want to do, so they want to give them more fucking money because they want to escalate more, because when it comes to war, they're together on this. This is what I keep trying to explain to people. When it comes to war, there's no difference between, when it comes to foreign policy, there's no difference between Donald Trump. There's no difference between Joe Biden. There's no difference between Nancy Pelosi. There's no difference between Marjorie Taylor Greene, Dan Crump. There's no difference between them when it comes to these things. Now he talks to Max Blumenthal talks to Kyle Massey at the end of this, which at the end of his video, which I'm going to get to. But again, there's only one party in the fucking United States, and it's the war party. They're always going to be in favor of war. But does sending them $14 billion in weapons aid, does that sound like you're trying to de-escalate the situation? No, you're trying to escalate the situation. And that's very fucking dangerous. Imagine if we were having a conflict with Mexico and they were funding like Nazis on the Mexican border and shit. If Russia was funding Nazis on the Mexican border and sending them weapons, you know, billions of dollars in weapons and shit, do you think we would be okay with that? Do you think we would allow that? Again, reference to the Cuban Missile Crisis. No, we wouldn't. Yo, this wouldn't even be a conversation right now. Mexico would have been obliterated by now. So that's the hypocrisy of the West that I keep trying to bring up.
To get out of House Democrats what the Ukrainians obviously need at this particular time. And we've been slow, much too slow.
So again,
the package
he's mad because we're not giving them more money.
From the House attached to the Omni, I think it's an important step. It needs to be passed. And it needs to be passed quickly.
Oh my God. But when the American people need help, they tell you to kick sand, to kick rocks, pound sand, fuck off. But we'll gladly send $14 billion of arms to fucking Nazis in Ukraine. Jesus fucking hell, man. I think Tupac said it best. They have money for war, but not for the poor.
Them, their ability to stand for self-determination.
So there's the virtue.
So there you have Ro Khanna's bullshit. I didn't know it was going to end that quickly, but now you have like somebody, you know, I'm pretty sure I disagree with Thomas Massey on some things economically, but he literally sounds how Ro Khanna should right now if Ro Khanna was actually a progressive. So let's hear what Kyle, or not Kyle. Isn't that the guy from Curry in the House, Kyle Massey? I meant Thomas Massey.
Well, we're making sure that they are armed to be able to fight that, and the Congress is going to pass $10 billion, and I support them, their ability to stand for self-determination.
So there's the virtue signaling kind of sanctions that Biden and some private companies have undertaken, and then there are the crippling sanctions. Okay, but who are they crippling? They're not crippling Putin per se. He'll find a market for his oil. They're crippling the people here in this country. First of all, we're going to see higher prices. The low-income people are being pinched the most by inflation. We've got gasoline is about to go to $5 a gallon at the pump, and it's not going to stop there. So, you know, and there are lots of other things we bring from Russia, like fertilizer, over $1 billion. Try not putting $1 billion of fertilizer on the fields in America this year and see what that does to food prices.
So again, we're going to have skyrocketing food prices like we're already seeing now, but it's going to get even worse. This situation, the further they go with this economic warfare, because that's what sanctions are, they're economic warfare, the further they go, they're going to hurt the American people, and they're hurting the Russian people too. The Russian people are hurting. So these sanctions don't hurt Putin, just like the sanctions don't hurt Bashar al-Assad. They hurt the people. They hurt the people in these countries, and that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to make their people desperate enough to go in and overthrow their fucking leader so the United States can swoop in and install, you know, a Western NATO puppet. That's what sanctions are used for.
Prices and supply chain issues. So if you think all of these things through, there's two kinds of sanctions. The sanctions that would cripple Russia, but it would cripple us as well. It's kind of mutually assured sanctions, economic devastation. If he does, in fact, sanction Russia, we'll see higher.
And I like that saying he used too, mutually assured economic destruction. Because that was, you know, MAD is the word, is the acronym they used to describe mutually assured destruction when it came to nuclear war. I'm glad that he said that he used that. That was actually a really good saying that he used.
energy prices. But look, that's going to go into the global supply of oil. Somebody else is going to buy that.
And then resell it
may,
back
in
to us
fact,
anyway.
end up here after it changes hands. It's not really going to reduce how much oil that Russia sells, at least not in the medium.
They got a whole big-ass market of China that they could sell to, and I think that's what they're going to start doing, possibly. I really think they're going to start doing that. The United States is shooting itself in the foot because it's pushing Russia and China closer together. So instead of overall global cooperation, people, countries cooperating with each other and not fucking their people over, because that's what NAFTA was, that's what NAFTA was billed as, actual real global cooperation that improves the lives of the actual people of countries is what the United States should be seeking right now. But our government acts on behalf of corporations, so they're not seeking that. They're seeking imperialism, as Vladimir Lenin described in his book, imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. This is exactly what Lenin has been talked about in his book. This is what people have, like Caleb Maupin has been talking about forever. That's actually what got me interested in this channel. I can't wait to talk about his four-step thing too on his channel, his four-step plan. But yeah, this is what a lot of people, Max Blumenthal has talked about this as well, how the United States seeks to monopolize all of the global resources. That's what this is. That's what the source of this is about. U.S. hegemonic power and dominance.
To long term.
But what is your sense inside that building? Are we edging closer to a conventional conflict with a nuclear armed power in Russia?
So this is what I find interesting.
Well, I hope we're not edging closer, but there's a vote to send more money to Ukraine and to our NATO allies, in fact, to finance troops in Eastern Europe. Two things can't simultaneously be true. The news reports that are coming back would lead you to believe that Russia's getting crushed. They're being devastated by Ukraine and Ukraine alone. It can't be a fact that Russia's a paper tiger and they're being destroyed by the Ukrainian army and National Guard. And at the same time, we need to send billions of dollars more in weapons and troops to NATO.
Are you able to form any coalition or partnership with the progressives in Congress against escalating this war? Ilhan Omar just came.
So that point that he said there that I found, and this point that he's going to bring up, I find interesting too. But on that previous point that Massey talked about, you can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, have your stenographers in the fucking media say that, oh, Ukraine's fucking Russia up, this and that, da da da. Okay, then what do they need our help for? What do they need more money for? What do they need more weaponry for? But then on the flip side, so you can give them money, you're saying, oh, we need to protect them from Russia and help them protect. Which one the fuck is it? Which one is it? But this is what I find interesting too, because a lot of us that have been following the progressives in Congress, and I know Ilhan Omar, and I think Max talks about this as well. Ilhan Omar came out and opposed the weapons, this bill sending more weapons to Ukraine. I can definitely see her basically backing off from that when they start calling her Russian, because when she called out the Israeli lobby way back when when she first got into Congress, and they started calling her anti-Semite, she backed off of that talking point and even signed on to this this anti Iran bill and shit like that, like shitting on Iran basically. So I can see her capitulating when they start calling her a Russian for this stance as well. But this question that Max is about to ask him, and his answer is very telling.
Form any coalition or partnership with the progressives in Congress against escalating this war?
Progressives like Ro Khanna, by the way, that we just saw in this video.
Or Ilhan Omar just came out against, I believe, the Russian oil ban.
I would have hoped to get some to vote against that resolution, but we didn't get any. I thought
Actually, 1 second. All right, just checking on something. Let's run that back. My bad, guys.
To NATO.
Are you able to form any coalition or partnership with the progressives in Congress against escalating this war? Ilhan Omar just came out against, I believe, the Russian oil ban.
I would have hoped to get some to vote against that resolution, but we didn't get any. I thought that the true progressives were against war, and I have formed.
They're not. Because they're not. They're like, there's a saying going around online, and I love this saying. The Justice Democrats are just Democrats. So they're not, unfortunately, they're pro fucking war. They parrot the talking points of the State Department. So I'm not surprised by this at all.
formed coalitions with them in the past and opposing the war in Afghanistan, for instance, and getting that to come to an end. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know when we'll see it. I have seen them become strong supporters of the right to keep and bear arms, though, in Ukraine at least. So I'm encouraged by that coalition.
That's kind of funny too, because a lot of them are like anti-gun and shit like that. So that was kind of hilarious to hear him bring that up. Like they're pro-gun when it comes to arming fucking Nazis. Basically, he didn't say that, but we all know what it is, and over there in Ukraine. So that was hilarious to me. But you see how though. Let me come back to the main camera. So you see how that's how Ro Khanna is supposed to sound. Ro Khanna's supposed to sound like him, but you hear how Ro Khanna sounds like Mitch McConnell and whatever other fucking neocon in Congress, like Marco Rubio and all that, all of their fuckery and bullshit. That's because Ro Khanna's not actually a progressive, and that word doesn't even mean anything anymore because of people like Ro Khanna, because of people like AOC and Ilhan Omar that parrot every State Department talking point when it comes to Iran, Syria, Venezuela, whatever fucking country it is, China, Russia, whichever one it is. So I'm not surprised by that at all. But and I'm also not surprised by Max Blumenthal doing amazing work on that segment. Very dope on the ground reporting. That's something I think I talked about it on the channel before. That's something I've always wanted to do. So maybe I might one day. I might do that one.